Listen up, slap nuts. Dude Sweet is part of the Project Nerd Podcast Network. Project-nerd.com for all your nerdly needs, or dudesweetcast.com for fucking everything else, brah.
And if you didn't know,
now you know.
now you know. But we are not experts on anything we say here. These
Yeah.
are just our opinions, people.
Yep.
We're just two dudes trying to help all dudes of every background, gender, what have you, be better, sweeter dudes at the end of the day.
That's what it's all about. Suck it.
Suck it.
That was a great joke.
I know, because he hates Mondays.
I would like bet on record that I made a great joke.
Well, see, but no one saw what you just referenced, so how could they know the greatness of the joke?
Oh, man. That's true. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Dude Sweet.
Dude,
Sweet!
peaked a little bit, but it's fine. I'll do it in editing.
I know. I forgot to turn on Audacity, but that's okay.
I'm
Let's do
just-
it again.
Uh-oh, here we go.
We're going to do
Here
it
we go.
again.
Oh.
This is take two.
Take two.
No, you should have just kept
We're
going.
doing take two. We're doing take two. I want take this seriously, goddammit. This is my
Fine.
art.
Wow.
Get Garfield ready. It's for the viewers at home.
Oh, we're redoing so from the top. We're redoing the joke too.
Yeah,
From the top.
we're redoing it.
Okay.
So do I need to bring him
Yep,
back?
Yep.
Hey Garfield, stop cucking around.
You can totally recreate organic moments perfectly.
I'm
Hey,
a theater
everybody.
major, so I'm pretty used to doing it precise the same right every time.
Oh, bragging about being a theater major. Hey, everybody, welcome to Dude Sweet.
Sweet.
There it is.
Yeah.
See, now I'm recording on both things.
Good.
God bless it. Hey, my name is Ian Douglas Terry.
And my name is Brian Keith Nelson, aka Blaxican Thunder.
Oh my gosh. Oh my
Mhm.
good gosh, oh golly. We're live. We're all in Florida right now. I'm going to start lying on the podcast and just be like, we're in a bunker in Florida.
No, in that case, we need exotic locations.
We're in a bunker in Puerto Rico.
There we go.
That's this is
There we go.
we're at the stadium where Bruiser Brody was murdered in
Oh,
the
no.
shower.
All right. You started getting jokes. You started getting jokes before we even introduced our guest. Wow.
I know. Hey, we got a guest, good friend of the show, good friend of mine for 20 plus years. Joe Mickeliunas, everybody. There he is.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Hey,
Everyone listening's clapping.
clapping. And to anyone who's actually listened for a while, shout out Brandon. Potentially also shout out Mike. They might have heard your name before on this.
Uh-oh.
Because Ian's definitely just been like, drop names when people came up with. So all I
I'm
know
a
is
name
you've seen
dropper.
Ian in his wild days.
I've been there. I've been there.
I've heard some things, and I have some questions. Where's my questionnaire? I have it here. It's a full.
We got a list. We got a list.
Uh-oh. He's got visual jokes for the
No, I wrote it. I wrote it with quail pen and everything. Like I want these answered in parchment.
Can I point out Can I point out real quick that I have a mustache?
Oh, is it coming in? It's
Look
so
at
fake.
that.
It's so
I have-
fake. Look at that.
I know. This is like a week's worth of growth. And I
Oh.
look like an 8th grader with a sick mustache.
Oh, that's cute. This is my beard after a stress patch still. So
Nice.
I
And Joe, you
I
just look
appreciate the
great.
peach fuzz.
I do what I can. I mean, thank you. I don't know. I'm surviving.
I know it's like I feel like there's nothing really. It's just like nothing really goes into it. It just kind of comes out how it comes out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep it
That's
simple
pretty-
and everything.
That's our t-shirt design. Dude Sweet. It comes out how it comes out.
This is what
On the
you
back,
get.
it has to say better than fiber.
All right.
All right.
All right. Who's the joke guy
I know.
here, huh?
I usually leave the jokes to you, but come on now. I need
This
someone
is
else to roll
bullshit.
their eyes.
Okay. But as we have stated,
Mhm.
Joe's known me a very long time.
Yes.
And also, Joe is like a trustworthy narrator where a lot of people that have known me for a long time are not. because Joe didn't do any PCP or anything back in the day.
So
At
he
least
can
that
give the sober facts.
Yeah.
Liz, I'm also not trying to speak for Joe. He could be on PCP right now.
Right now. I mean,
Who knows?
I just got done with 8 hours of parent teacher conferences, so I
Oh
went
man, that would,
great.
if anything, that would be justified. Yeah, that'd be justified.
But Joe, do you remember? Because I was trying to think of this. Do you remember when we met? This sounds like an old couple reminiscing. Do you remember? It had to be at the COG, right?
Yeah, that's probably where I'm putting it at, like probably like a Cuter Than show. I want to say
Nice.
is probably either me playing in the Cuter Thans or Falling Stars, and then
Falling Stars. Yeah.
and then you saying, "Hey, bud, do you play guitar too?" And then
That's my pickup line.
Some things never change. Some things never change. Hey, bud. So, what is the COG? Is it a venue?
I'll let Joe explain.
Oh,
I think
man.
I kind of explained it.
Okay, yeah. So that was kind of like the punk venue in Omaha from like the mid '90s until early 2000s, and that was, I mean, it was just a hole in the wall in a sketchy neighborhood with all sorts of characters around, and it was 17, 18-year-olds running this venue, and I mean, we got some of the biggest bands in punk to play at this place with no working plumbing. You'd get AFI and, an entourage of people. And it's just this, not the place that a band on a record label wants to show up to.
No, I'm sure not. They probably show up there and then they have like flashbacks of their days where they're all like on the grind to try and get and they're like, oh fuck, again, like I gotta go to this again, come on.
There's one of us on the roof with a push broom like pushing water off of it, so it would leak on while they're playing.
I remember like at multiple times toilets overflowed and I'd show up and my roommate Brian Thrasher that's his real name, he'd be pushing just shit water with a broom out because it's like, we gotta get ready for the show.
Oh man, yep. So you gotta get it out of here. So did you guys work there at some point?
I technically did, but I don't really remember.
Yeah.
Joe?
Yeah, I ran sound there for a summer.
Oh shit! Oh, how was that?
And it was easy because we had just a terrible PA, and the most we could do is put up maybe 3 vocal mics and maybe mic the kick drum.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah.
Like
And
I remember playing in the first venue with monitors after playing the COG a bunch, and I was like, what the fuck are these? What do these do?
What do I need this for?
Oh, so I can hear all you got?
Oh, I can even out the sound. Oh, that is so much better.
That's what we sound like?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. We sound terrible.
We're off. God, no wonder.
But yeah, it was where I met pretty much all of my Omaha friends, I think.
Nice.
Were like the COG Factory. I compare it, it's like if for a Denver reference, if you took the COG and mixed it with O'Leavers, it'd become the High Dive in Denver. It's like a cool venue, cool bar. Okay. Yeah. But that's I just like making fun comparisons. There's also a really good documentary on YouTube about the COG Factory.
Really?
I'm not in it, but all of my friends are.
Hey.
Like, I gotta bring that up. By the way, I edited myself into it and made my own.
This is the IDT cut.
The IDT director's cut, special edition.
It's me just after every person going, that didn't happen.
What is this gonna be, like the fucking Michael Jordan documentary happening here? Are you just gonna have is that glasses gonna keep just going back up and down?
Oh my gosh.
Man.
So what I remember was for meeting Joe was one, he was very good at guitar, which everyone in the band I was in was terrible at our instruments because we were just weird, like small town ding dongs. Like we were just
figuring it out.
Yeah. And Joe was very good at guitar. And 2, I think somehow we started talking about wrestling because I do remember that being an initial thing. Be like, oh, this guy likes wrestling. All right.
Yeah, I was probably like in a D-Generation X shirt.
We were just
like,
referencing we were just referencing DX earlier too before we started recording.
Yeah, I was like,
That's
this guy
funny.
knows all about sucking it. I need to hang out with him.
Hey man, do you suck it? Yeah. What?
Just walking up being like, yeah. And it's like,
Only you two know what you guys are talking about, and while the drummer's packing away, he's like, what the fuck's going on right now?
that was. Do you remember when not a lot of people were into wrestling?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like me and Joe and maybe like two other dudes. Maybe. At least in the punk scene.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think kind of when you like getting into wrestling at, 8-10 years old, and then you get to high school and it's like, all right, which path am I going to go on? And some took punk rock, not looking back to Stone Cold for guidance now.
Yeah. Oh man,
dude, that's the best. But yeah, so Joe joined a band I was in called the Renford Rejects, aka Team Renford. I don't think there were any other names, just Renford.
Yeah, just Renford.
Just Renford.
And it was I was not good at bass. The drummer was not very good at drums. Guitar player's not very good at guitar. And then Joe made it like an actual band. It was great. It was like just having like a person who could really play, and we're just like, yep. I'm like Mark Hoppus. I could just do whatever. No one cares. This is awesome.
You look at you guys got him doing all the hard work, and everyone else back there is like, yeah, no, I'm doing the bass, bum 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 bum,
yeah.
bum. Still fucking up, like, oh, the guitar is covering it. It's okay. The guitar is covering it. It's fine.
Yeah, and you would come to Columbus to like play with it, like practice. So he would put in the work to practice with a bunch of idiots.
I do the driving. Yeah, it was some work.
When you're young and passionate, like that's the thing. You're like, no, I'm gonna do this. Like this is something I stick to. And I think especially as an artist, whether you do it forever or as a hobby or whatever, it always sticks with you. That speaks to like just kind of how you are as a person. Hey, I enjoy this. So yeah, I'll drive to go do this with people that I may get along with and have fun and enjoy doing this because it's great.
Yeah.
And now, especially when you get older, you realize the value of being able to do that because you're like, cool shit came out of it. And even if not, hey, you got to do it.
He got to drive to Columbus, Nebraska, which is a wonderful place. There's like 2 Runzas there, okay?
I've never been, so I'm not going to tear them down, but you're from there, so hey, go ahead. You let all of those corn-eating college tacklers come over and let them demolish you and your car. Next time you drive through there. I'm cool.
All right.
I'll take my Runza and be quiet.
There's footage in my parents' attic right now of Joe's first show with us. Mm-hmm. And it's watching someone try to be a professional musician in chaos because it's so fun. Because with Renford, we realized our shortcomings, as all people should.
Yeah.
We're not that good of a band.
You gotta be honest. You're like, what do we got going for us?
So what are we going to do? We're going to get our friend James to breathe fire while we play.
Wait, was this an indoor venue?
Yeah.
It gets better.
I know.
So James at the shows would just have lamp oil and then a stick with some cloth on it and would make a torch.
Yeah.
Drink a little bit of lamp oil and blow fire.
Oh, man.
To like not very good pop punk.
I have a feeling some fire department's about to give you guys very questionable looks after the end of this.
And it was, the first song I ever learned with the band was just called "The Fire Song." That was the intro. It was the intro song, and that's the song that we played when James blew fire.
Oh, it's great! It's like this is how we're introducing this shit. The fire song.
Because the other day, I still remember how to play some of the songs because I recently got a guitar to mess around on, and I realized the lyrics would like change. It was like, I don't know, this week it's this, or it was almost like how I treated stand up, where it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, you like the improvisation of it, where it was more about, I guess, the melody and everything than it was about the actual lyrics of it at that point. But I mean, you're just having fun. There's a bunch of stuff you look back at where you're like, you look back and in hindsight, you're like, yeah, maybe it wasn't the greatest. But at that time, dude, that was your shit. You were killing it. Fuck that. Yeah, I'm in a band. Dude. I play bass-ish in a band, but yeah.
Dude, Joe literally was killing it. Because I remember the first show, we decided we need to step it up.
Yeah.
Like just having one guy breathe fire. Then we had another guy at another show. We're like, man, that's not enough. Like there needs to be more.
No. We need wheels of fire.
And I remember we didn't play on the stage. We were on the floor for some reason.
Bold. Fuck that. We're in your face. You're going to listen to us.
I would assume we were playing with like a hardcore band. Do you remember what band that was with?
Oh, man, I don't. Then that was probably why. Photographic memory.
Yeah. But so we're playing on the floor of this venue. I have a little bit of stuff on the end of my bass. It's on fire. Because I'm going to breathe fire off the end of my bass. And then Luke, the drummer, has a cymbal turned upside down, filmed with lighter fluid, filled it, and that's on fire. Okay. James is breathing fire behind us.
Oh, man.
And I just remember like the first like da 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 da, like I'm doing the breathing fire off the bass. I spit and the stuff gets all over the floor in front of me, making it like super slippery.
Oh, no.
Luke hits that cymbal and fire just goes all over the floor right by Joe. And then Joe's like playing and kicking a fire out on the ground.
So this man's a professional, ladies and gentlemen. This man is a this show must go on.
And I stayed in the band for the next 3 years.
He did.
Yes, no, but why not? Why not? You got it. Where's this gonna go? This is the first. Come on, this is the first show. Where else is this gonna go? Hell yeah, I'd stick with it too. I'm like, no, we're gonna get that down.
It was literally just like watching that. It's just like, what the fuck? Like what? Like just play music. Why were we doing all that? And I think it was a lot of professional wrestling influence. Like we need this big, fiery intro. I want to be like Kane coming out. Like, I want to be like...
Definitely. That's definitely some like Slayer type shit where it's like, this is what you're gonna listen to for the next 45, and just go hard and just go into it. But yeah, definitely the wrestling experience with it, having that kind of jump into it.
But we definitely like, there were more fires. I think we toned it way down after that because I think the breathing the fire off the bass, that was the only time I did that. And like the symbol upside down, we're like, that's clearly a fire.
Yeah, that was just like straight up danger.
It's like, oh, there's a grenade in our hands right now. This is fantastic.
And I remember there'd be shows where the other dudes either couldn't show up or just didn't want to, so Joe and I would play acoustic. That was pretty cool.
Okay, but how
Joe would play acoustic.
Yeah, listen,
my memories of those were you not having an acoustic guitar. So we would go to Mars Music, and you'd be like, "Yeah, I'm looking for an acoustic guitar." The salesman would talk you up. You're like, "Oh yeah, that's a great one. I'll buy that guitar." We'd go play the show, and you would return the guitar the next day.
Yeah, that's that Midwestern frugal shit.
Yeah. Sounds about right. That sounds about right. Hey, sometimes I mean, you do what you got to do. If there's some stuff I definitely could have rented 100%, but you can't really rent and then return spandex because that's gross. Like you don't see superheroes swapping costumes. Like nah. Superman's not in Batman suit. Like I thought you'd be bigger than this, but this is a little.
Joe, now that you mentioned that, I don't think I owned a bass amp for the entire time I was in Renford.
Yeah, at the COG there was kind of that communal like Ampeg 8x10 that was just it was there. Yeah. So
yeah,
everyone knew don't mess with it.
I was just like, why would I have to buy something I carry around? That's stupid. And then we'd play shows, and I'd be like, hey, does anybody have a bass amp? Classic. But yeah, that's how we came up, real rough and tumble.
Hey, you gotta do it where you can, because I mean it's one of those things you never know. It could just be something that's for fun. It could be something that turns into something else. But while you have the chance to go do it, why not? It's cool. We always think about doing it. Like fucking even sometimes dudes don't get to do it when they're younger, or people in general. I can't even dudes gender specific. But then they wait when they get older and then they can do it. Like that's why fucking jam bands start. Like just between old dads or whatever. And this
let's start a jam band. I'm down to start a 311 jam band. I'm ready.
I have mixed feelings about that, but
I'll
okay.
play the bass all high. Doot, 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 like that. So my question for Joe.
Okay.
This is an important question. How did you stay a normal human being through all of that? Because just for reference, everybody we know like either went wild or maintained like a grasp on reality. How did you maintain that normal dude grasp?
I hit it really well.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's I think the normalcy that's perceived, but
Oh yeah.
but I think I'm anything but normal.
Yeah. See, I think I used the wrong word. I made it like normal's not a good word. But you're just a good dude. Like they're just like throughout the years of knowing you, it's like yeah, Joe's a good fucking he's a good solid dude. And I think for me it's like you'd be like, I don't know what he's up to. Like, I don't know, where's this dude? He lives in Atlanta now. Okay, like all right. Like you're just like a rock. You're Dwayne the Rock Johnson.
That's high praise.
But I think I always admired about you that you didn't get caught up in a lot of the wildness of everything, which is good.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of had my goals of finishing school for some reason to do, you know, once I kind of found my path with teaching history. I mean, that's I think what really, in a sense, kind of grounded
awesome.
me. And you know, I just needed to do that because nobody in my family had ever gone to or graduated college. And I think I just, you know, I had my points where I totally screwed up the first round of college. You know?
Yeah, natural. Yeah, everybody.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
most people.
But I think it was kind of finally once I figured out what I wanted to do that part of me kind of really emerged.
Hell yeah. See, that's like I had a conversation with my dad recently because he's a retired history teacher, Mr. Terry. Hell yeah. But
Shout out,
Mr. Terry.
yeah, but it was like, how come I never was drawn to that? Like that I didn't want to be a teacher. And I was like, I don't know. I think there were definitely times where I thought about it and I was trying to think what kept me like, I was just like, I don't want to hang out with kids. Like, I don't think that's what it was.
fair.
But I think I was like, I just want to dick around and do this stuff instead of doing anything remotely responsible.
Yeah, I don't want to hang out with myself as a teenager.
Yeah, no, definitely 100% not.
Maybe that's what it was. I knew I would like.
I would just be like, go back in your room and play a game. Shut up. Go. Just go. Goodness, moody. Go away.
That's the best because I think teachers are some of the greatest performers of all time.
Oh, they have to be.
Yeah.
You gotta keep your shit together in front of people who you could either potentially influence or they can see that and be like, oh, now I'm gonna take advantage of you. Because not every child is sweet and innocent. Like, sorry, sometimes like? Shitty people come from shitty, like, they have their origin stories.
Is that how it feels to you, Joe? You gotta turn it on.
There's like 100%. I mean, yeah. On my bad days, on my mentally not great days, you know, I still have to go out there and lecture about the Mongols or, you know, whatever. And yeah. I have to get them invested in it.
Yeah. Mm. Oh my gosh.
That's really good to me. That's interesting. So, because we do like a focus on mental health and everything because, you know, dealing with everything. So how, as much as you want or as little, just so when you are having like those days and then knowing you have to go in and teach, which does take a lot of energy out of you. And it's not just because you have to memorize and recite these things from memory, but also now you have to try and engage these kids to get them interested in it. And you're doing so how many times a day for how long at a time and how much and you're not just, it's, you know, like if you're performing on a big stage, you're performing to a broad audience, but when you're in something intimate, you are giving energy to each individual interaction. Some may be more than others, but some are picking up on, and you can kind of get and feel that. But all of that, knowing your students, knowing your class, knowing your audience, pretty much all still takes energy. So especially when you just don't have that, like you just mentally, you know, you're just drained and you're not feeling it. Like what kind of helps keep you like strong in that and dealing with it?
Yeah, that's tough, because those days are really challenging when you're, because you have to put up, you know, with them constantly on cell phones and social media, and you know which kids have accommodations for testing and IEPs, and so there's all that's kind of just rummaging around in my brain too. But you know, just knowing that I want them to come out of it having learned something that day, or something that they could go home and talk about at the dinner table, or you know, because I don't want them to hear, you know, what did you do in history today? Nothing, it was boring.
Yeah.
You know, I want them to tell their friend, oh yeah, it was great. You know, we had this discussion, or we talked about this, and that's the kind of feedback that I want to get. So I think it's just, it's knowing that I don't want what's going on with me to be reflected on them, that I don't want them to come out with maybe how I'm feeling. That I want my classroom, that, you know, that 45 minutes that they get with me a day, I want it to mean something.
Yeah. And
Hell
see,
yeah.
I gotta say, I really appreciate not only teachers like you, specifically history teachers, because I have an interest in history, and it came from, well, not only theater, which led through the history of everything and just finding all these interesting things, but I had really engaging history teachers. Like one of my favorite teachers, Mr. Hughes, was one of the most engaging and passionate teachers. Like when someone is teaching you about a very dark period in history and is struggling because like they're quivering just to get through the absence of humanity and like some of these dark periods, like that's engaged. That's something that sticks with me to this day. 18 years later, like I still remember that. And that's part of the things that inspire me, because someone who is passionate about teaching people about the history and getting them engaged and actually knowing these things, it's just like you don't have to just know this history to find it interesting. You can go to all these other histories. You can go to these ancient eras. You can go to feudal Japan, whatever. But still having this history, it's important to know, and just having that passion behind it and understanding it. Like it pushed me to the point where I was like, all right, if I can at least succeed in this, then I can take some of these like and go apply this to a different class that I may not care about in science or anything like that. But because of this is how this has influenced me, I can now take this influence into something else. So it's just like having teachers like that is fucking fantastic, especially in this day and age. It's not easy, man. So like shout out to you and applaud. Like you guys deal with your own slew of stuff, especially now, I'm sure, with all of this just madness happening right now. We're trying to take kids into consideration, but trying to be cautious and trying to have like, how do we move forward properly in doing all this? And how do we accommodate all the people that we need to focus on the kids, which people unfortunately lose the focus. It is about the children. You can't say it's the future and then complain about the now and not preparing for the future when that's what the kids are going to go to. So shout out to you, man. That's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah. And I mean, I probably got one of the best compliments I've ever received at parent teacher conferences tonight, when,
hell yeah,
you know, this parents came up, mom and dad came and sat and introduced themselves, and they said, you know, our daughter really likes your class. And I said, oh, it's great. You know, she's got an A, doing fantastic. She's like, no, she talks about your class a lot. I'm like, okay, that's awesome. She's like, well,
yeah.
She says that you're not like the other history teachers. She says that you're more of a storyteller. And that's exactly why I started to teach history. Is I had a professor in college that's how the moment I learned that, yes, I'm going to be a history teacher. We didn't have a textbook. He just stood up there and talked about Native American history. And I was captivated. And I said, that's what I want to do. And to finally kind of get that compliment, like, it's all worth it.
Dude, that's the best.
Yeah.
That's how, like, my dad was everybody's favorite teacher, but like at Columbus High, not everywhere. That'd be nuts.
University.
He's America's favorite teacher.
Yeah.
Number one teacher. But I remember before, because they would be like, "Oh, your dad's so funny. He's so like, oh, he's so wild in class. He like put his tie around his head and pretend to be Rambo." And I'm like, "Who are you talking about? Like, that's not
my dad."
Like, my dad is an introvert that reads like sci-fi books. All that anytime he's just hanging out reading a book, but it's like he turned that on. Like, it
he was
like
in his
switch.
element. Yeah, he was in his element. It's definitely very performative.
Yeah, and that's why him and I, that conversation we had, it was like, yeah, I was like we were doing the same thing. I was just doing like the way lazier, easier version of it by just being like, "Oh, I'm gonna drink a couple beers and go talk about Hoobastank for 10 minutes." Like, that's so easy.
Oh,
it's a different crowd. Imagine if stand-up comedy was the same 30 people for a year in the crowd.
Well, even if you break it down like that, let's look at it from like a little bit of a psychological standpoint. As an adult, if somebody's up there speaking, you just, out of understanding and empathy and knowledge of how like it should just work, you're like, okay, I'm going to give them my attention. Certain ages don't have that learning yet, so now you have to control that, and it's difficult because you're like, all right, how do I manage all of this nicely when internally I may just want to say, hey, if you don't stop, so
That's why Joe has a very good temperament for that, I think, where other friends of ours would definitely like try to fight a kid. 100%. You know, Joe, you probably just thought of the person I'm thinking of. We don't even have to say.
Yeah,
we have friends who would absolutely try to fight a teenager. Like, they're ready. And I probably would too. I'd be like, yeah.
No, I'd say.
But yeah, how do you handle all of these like what he was talking about, and also we'll get into like the COVID stuff too, because that's a whole other ball game.
Yeah, I mean, this year has had just I think the biggest challenges we've ever seen. I mean, we're not alone in the teacher shortage. I mean, we lost after last year a good chunk of our staff, and those jobs, not all of them were filled, and we have like the largest population we've ever had at the school too. So we're dealing with more kids, and a lot of these kids, the freshmen in high school, haven't been in a school building since the 7th grade.
Oh, yeah, that's a huge jump for them.
So they are socially 7th graders.
Yeah.
In a high school.
In high school. Wow. I didn't think about all that.
Yeah, I didn't think about that either.
Yeah.
So it's just like the naughty level has gone up.
Yeah.
Like it's
at a time where it's like, you should be learning how to get this under control now. But no, those social things are very, very, important. And it's just a natural change with it. Because as people naturally kind of mature, then people kind of, with your friend group, you see things. But if certain people aren't being held to that standard at home, no blame to anyone. Fucking raising a kid is complicated. I have no idea. I wouldn't know. However, if a kid is spoiled and there's no one keeping them in check, and then they come back and now they're just going to be even more spoiled there.
Dude,
they didn't have that naturally to keep them into that, like, oh yeah, I should not do this when I'm outside of here.
Yeah. You had a lot of parents that they had to go to work still, and their kid was at home on an iPad going to school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there was no rules. There was nothing for them to.
No, not shit.
Yeah.
You got the keys to the kingdom. As a kid who had to deal with that a few times, like, I was like, okay, I fend for myself. Fine. I'm just playing PlayStation all day. That's all I'm doing. I have nothing else to do. Go hang out with my friends outside, and then that's it.
Oh my gosh. Like, how are they starting bad pop punk bands if they're not in the building? Like, that's how it happens. You can't start a bad pop punk band over Zoom. Like, that's my.
You could.
I'm gonna go to a parent teacher, like, or one of the things where they let people talk, where all the yahoos are going right now. Yeah. I'm gonna be like, these kids need bad pop punk bands. Let them back in the schools.
Bring back
Good Charlotte.
Bring back bad pop punk bands.
Listen, I started the Neutered Chickens when I was in 8th grade, and that band rocked.
You just got to show up with all sorts of posters of Machine Gun Kelly and
yeah. Like, look at what this is happening. This is what the kids not being in school now. We have Machine Gun Kelly.
It's his fault.
Travis Barker is a gateway drug.
Oh no.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, he didn't do anything but play his drums well. Leave that man be.
But man, another thing I really admired about Joe all these years is you kept like playing music and doing cool stuff while also like he's an award-winning teacher. The kids love him. I know all this. I spy on him. I went undercover at his high school. It was like the Drew Barrymore movie, Never Been Kissed, but it was
that scene you yelled at, turned into a corner. It was Ian in a hoodie.
Oh man.
See, he was redoing the scene from Ant-Man when he shrinks down. He was just crouching down, running by a little bit.
That was
you got soap dispensers and the hidden deck in your room there. That's where they all went.
Oh man, I would love to do that, but I would absolutely get beat up. I would get beat up like day one. Some kid would deservedly
by the
beat me
6th
up.
graders too. The 6th graders would be
yeah. I'd get punked out by the 6th graders. It would suck.
So mean.
But I always thought that was like an interesting thing because Joe would be in like a rockin' band like back when, while also molding the youth. But and I remember like you kind of have to, especially with social media, you have to hide from those dang kids. Like those dang kids are all over the social media.
Right.
They're not ready to hear John Tverdick howl. They're not ready for that kind of the heavy riffs of back when. But what's that like? Because that's very interesting to me.
Yeah, there's definitely like, for me, I try to have, there's the secret identity. You know, there's Mr. Mick in the classroom, and then there's me outside. You know, if it's music, and some kids know, you know, some of them find out, or I heard you're in a band, and what's your band called? I'm like, I'll tell you when you're older.
Yeah, when you're older, I'll let you know.
But then, like, you know, you'll get those kids that find out that you're cool.
Yeah.
Or, you know, last year or 2 years ago, there was, you know, this girl I would see, and she would be wearing a Rocket from the Crypt t-shirt. And I was like, okay, I just got to say something about Rocket to the Crypt, because what, you know, 16-year-old right now is listening to Spring Dracula Scream. I don't know.
It's like, what's that?
But then, you know, I struck up that conversation with her, and then we just started chatting about music, and then she needed a supervisor for this big essay she was writing, and she asked me, she's like, hey, we've talked about music, will you help me with this assignment? I'm like, totally.
Nice.
And then, you know, they find out that you're cool, and you know.
Now it's just like, oh, that's the cool teacher. Hey, what's up, cool teacher? And teenagers, as someone who still remembers it, will abuse the shit out of that.
Yeah.
But definitely like, oh no,
but
that's
then
you
get the next group of kids like, oh, I heard you were in a band. That's not me. That's some other guy.
Yeah, that's the way.
And then you kind of start the legend over.
Yeah, just like, no, that's not me. It's someone else.
Yeah.
Oh no, he said he's in a band. Yeah.
Also, like, seeing a teenager wearing a shirt of a band that broke up a decade ago is like, where did you get that? Like, I'm just run up to him. Where did you get that?
Who handed that down to you?
Yeah,
what Ross did you pick that up in?
I've done that several times, and I had a girl in a Melvin shirt. She's like, "Oh yeah, it's my dad's shirt." She's like,
Hell yeah.
But they rule.
But they rule. It's like, it's still good. Don't get me wrong. Yeah,
I could totally see your daughter in high school wearing like her dad's cool rock shirts, and the circle just continuing.
I hope so. I hope so.
Keep it going. You got to keep it going. Keep more of the cool stuff going.
Yeah.
Keep more of that cool stuff going.
Dude, that's the best.
Yeah.
Like, so here's another thing I was thinking about. Like, it's crazy to me that this whole, it's been, how many years has COVID been going? I don't even know. 2?
About 2.
Like, what day is it?
Well, as long as we've known about it, probably about a year and a half. But really, it's probably been going on for 2 years. Yeah.
And so what was like that, like, from the teacher standpoint of it felt like it was almost like an immediate pivot where it's like you're probably, let's see, that was like February, March when it everyone's like, oh, this is gonna be bad, to like now we're going full digital. Like, what was that like?
Yeah, so we went, it was spring break, so it was beginning of March for us, and then we just never went back to school.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That year. And
oh man.
And we didn't really have like an accountability plan at that point because our district is a highly urban district. Mm-hmm. And we've got a lot of families that don't have internet access, don't have a device. So we just basically had to say, teachers are going to post some stuff. They'll be available if you need them, but we're freezing your grades at this point. Whoa. That's it.
Dang.
So that was that whole fourth quarter of 2020. And then we planned to go back last year in person, but then the Friday before school was going to start, they pulled, we're just going to go fully remote.
Gotcha.
So then it was just we'd done all this planning and organizing and safety procedures of the school, and then it was
last minute change. Yeah.
Dude,
as someone who used to work for a school district, that shit is not surprising. I left when I moved down here. I left right before COVID hit, and when I did, I was like, kind of glad I'm not working for that school district right now, because it would have just been a mess.
Dude, that's so wild.
Yeah. So we're just kind of constantly on our toes. I mean, I don't know what it's going to look like next week.
Yeah. And then they get mad at you guys because you guys still have to put together lesson plans and then still do all the other stuff for the students. And then they're the ones who are just like, oh, let's make a snap decision because it doesn't affect their day too much. Whereas you guys, It's like, oh, great. I planned a whole week. Now it's just in the trash. Now I got to replan this whole thing for whatever, or figure out how I'm now going to get this information through the internet, which now may be laggy to somebody. So now I have to stop to make sure someone heard it right and all. Yeah, no, I don't envy that at all.
Are you guys trying to tell me that teachers are underappreciated?
Yeah.
Because listen, my parents live on a lake, okay? That's all I'm going to say. They're billionaires.
Oh my,
We're very rich.
Don't know.
Columbus elite.
It's a lake in Columbus, Nebraska. Right? Their house costs at least $10,000. Okay, least. Like, listen.
At the very least.
At the most, $20,000.
That's a few percentages of Bitcoin. Come on, don't worry about it. It's nothing major.
Did you have to do the whole teaching the kids in Zoom where you could see everybody?
Yeah, so the first chunk of last year, it was all, avatars that I was talking to, and nobody wanted to be on screen.
Of course not. No.
Nobody wanted to say anything. So it was just every now and then, hey, just put a reaction if you're there.
Yeah, you guys still listening?
I'd put some goofy question in the chat, or just so I could get some sort of engagement.
Yeah.
And then we came back in a hybrid model where some kids were in the building on some days and then the rest were online. So I would have to teach to the screen and physically to students in the classroom.
Wow. Whoa.
So I got 10 kids sitting there and 25 on Teams.
Jesus.
Dude, kids are going to be professionals at web seminars by the time they get older. That's pretty much what they've been doing.
Yeah.
Conference calls, high volume conference calls for their education.
That's insane.
Yeah. And some kids that were completely remote last year, if they're in the building now, I couldn't tell you what they looked like.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
Oh, man.
There's kids that I never heard their voice, never saw their faces.
Man.
Couldn't even tell you if they were actually in my class.
Yeah, I can tell you the students legitimately enrolled here. Wow.
That's wild. Because do you, pre-COVID, do you remember students from say your first, second year of teaching? Do you still I'm not saying you remember every single kid.
Oh, from early in my career?
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
That's so.
Yeah, I mean,
like
this is my
like taking that away.
yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah, I've been doing it as 13 years.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Man,
Yeah, 'cause
nice.
my dad, he remembers all these like random students. Usually they had to have like actually done something interesting or like
To get the attention and stick out.
or they're this person's brother or sibling or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some sort of familiarity and connection where it's like, oh yeah, I know who you are.
Yeah.
That's wild. So you put in this whole digital thing and it takes away like that link of you actually know the kids and they know you. That's wild.
And then there were some that were fully digital that, first day of school came up to me and said, "Hey, I'm so-and-so. I loved your class. Thank you so much. I, stayed remote because I've got, someone in my family that's high risk, like a grandparent. So I just wanted to stay safe. I'm like, thank you for telling me. It's awesome to meet you."
That's so wild.
And that's one of the other variations people don't account for. Hey, say you live with someone who is high risk during this time and they can't go. It's still good to at least have that option where they can now, do this, especially in a time where they still go and learn and get the education at the same point.
Yeah.
Now it's like, oh, I don't have to track to school and then go back and worry about getting like, someone elderly sick who's living with us or something like that, or immune deficient, what have you, like, that kind of stuff. So it's beneficial, and then sometimes it just turns out where it's more of a hassle than what it's worth.
Yeah.
So it's always a double-edged sword. It just depends on which side's sticking you more at times.
That's why I think Joe's a better performer than me, because he can do all these things, and they can also like
he's more consistent now. You have to do it consistently out of the year.
That's true.
5 days. How many times?
I do 6 sets a day.
Yeah. Look at that brother. He's putting in that mic time. He's putting in that mic time. You don't have that kind of result.
5 days a week, six 45-minute sets.
Yeah. Was the last time you've stolen a crowd like that? Was the last time you had a barn burner, buddy?
You hear that bit he did about Sacagawea earlier? That was nuts. That was great. That was a great bit. No, but I'm glad I got out before they start doing the Zoom comedy shows, because that's a living nightmare to me.
Oh no.
Like this is great, talking with pals, but just being like, hey guys, so dating's weird, right? Right?
I don't know.
Throw a diamond in the chat if you think dating's weird. Like,
let me see reactions. Throw the laugh emojis. Come on.
Just pounding the key.
But see,
this is great.
At that point, it's perfect, because it's like, all right, if you're good to a certain point, then like, all right, these may kind of hit, so you can definitely play into the silence being there. But if you can be really good with like awkward stuff and time bad stuff really well, it would be perfect for that, because there's literally, you get no live reaction, but you get these various different reactions from it. It would have been funny.
And you've definitely got bits. You have to have bits.
Oh yeah,
Joe, you got bits, don't you?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
I bet.
You got the classic Mr. Mick bits.
Yeah. And there's, you try out material first hour, and then by like fifth hour, if it's not hitting, like
if it's working or not. Yeah.
I can't do the Billy Madison joke anymore.
All right. It worked in first period. It worked in third period, fifth period, not rocking it with it whatsoever. No, we're not doing it with them. So knowing kids, what's some interesting things you have heard in class? Either if it's something you've said about history and then someone's just raw reaction about it, or just something just overheard where you're like, wait, what? Because I'm sure, like, I know you've said some things that made teachers just jaw drop before when I was in school. So I can just imagine now, with so much different influence and just this hybrid of culture, like just some crazy shit comes up.
I'm trying to think of something good. There's definitely got to be something.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Because I see the memes that they come up with, and I'm like, I can only know what you guys are like in conversation with your friends. I can only imagine what it's like. You guys just say some crazy. Because the way they make connections and memes, I'm like, that's really good. I can't even I didn't even think to make that one. That's funny.
Yeah, and I think that there's that side of them that it's kind of like me as the teacher. There's them as the student, and then there's them with their friends, and those things they come up with. So I don't know. That one's kind of tough. There's
I'm sure there's a lot. I just wonder if anything stuck out. No, it's okay. I was just wondering if anything stuck out to you, because I know there's always something where it's just like, because I've gone back and talked to teachers at a school, 10 years later and everything, and now we're having adult conversations about all this stuff. I was like, I had no idea that as the teacher this whole time this kind of thing was going on, but just some of the things I'm like, I knew that had to have shocked you, because like, you don't expect an 8th grader to just take a little, like when you guys are doing a science experiment, take a big ass syringe and just say, who's ready for artificial insemination? You don't expect that in the class. But yet that's what I did to one of my poor teachers. And, and rightfully so. So I was just wondering.
So I've got one. So my mom has been subbing recently.
Oh,
so that's like my dad. He's not interested. He just gives tennis lessons. That's all he cares.
He's like, I'm out the game. I'm not coming back.
Yeah, he's gonna teach the kids tennis because that was his side passion. But my mom has been subbing, and she got to learn what drip is.
Oh boy,
the kids taught her what drip is. So she was telling me all about the drip. You gotta get the drip. Are you being kept up with the culture from the kids?
I do the best I can. Like it is.
There's a lot. No, there's a lot,
and it moves so fast.
It moves
right now.
quick. Yeah, because the internet, like even from just 10 years ago, just 10 years ago. So it's like, there's a 10-year gap between me and Ian. All right, so there's always these different things we like to have, because at some point in our lives, we were very along the same pattern with how things were. And then we still just from different viewpoints saw things like, yeah, technology came up, dial-up, that was all cool. But then at a certain age, it's both just so vast, where it's like, all right, I feel like if you remember dial-up internet, and if you haven't made it your point to stick with every single update, yeah, you're a little bit behind. You can still be tech savvy. I'm kind of tech savvy, and there's just so much stuff I'm behind on. Everything just moves so quickly now. Music, what people use for slang, stuff that's coming back now, things that's not cool that they don't use anymore. Whereas like you were using this 3 years ago. Now it's not like it's insane.
Yeah, I think the slang is one of the biggest like constant changers. And I have to ask them, like, how do you label something as acceptable or cool? What is your word right now?
Yeah.
And then I'm like, well, think about when you were in 8th grade, what you're saying, and they're like, oh, that's when we all were saying everything is swag. That's swag.
Oh God.
That's schwiggity swag. And they're just cringing at like, oh, we used to say that word. It's like, I'm like, you're gonna think the same thing when you're saying that everything is fire. Everything is,
It's lit.
It's lit. It's fire.
It's lit. Oh man.
I think that's like, since I maintained talking like a very dumb surfer for most of my life, just as like, so no one would ever know I'm like a smart person. I could just be like, yeah, hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Like, Carrot Top out of his movie kind of style. I get it.
That it terrifies me. The idea of having to interact with a group of teenagers is terrifying. Like where I'd be like, what's up, dudes? And they'd just be like, what? Like, what is this?
I had a thing recently where there was an 18-year-old who like was just out of school and working before he went out to like I think Air Force recruitment or something. So a little job. And I was like, I have not worked around someone who's like 18 or something like that in a long time. And again, it's just a difference. I was like, I know it wouldn't be too big a difference, but damn, like there is legitimately this difference where I'm like, you really just don't stop, do you? It's just the energizer. You just keep going with it. What did you just say? What does that mean? You know what? I'm not even gonna ask.
You're like Googling what they say.
Yeah.
Like, what is that?
No, it's not even. Mean? It's just some things where like I think I know what that means, but I don't know the context of it. And say, here, let me just show you the TikTok thread. At that point, I'm out. It's no, I'm fine. I don't need it. It's okay.
Joe, do you get roasted? Kids roast you at all?
I've definitely probably been roasted more than I know.
That's my biggest fear is I'm gonna get roasted by some teens. We've talked about that my niece has more Instagram followers than me. I'm not gonna say the exact numbers because it's humiliating for me personally, but I don't want to be around her because she might put me on TikTok. It goes viral. Here's my weird uncle. it's over for me. I'm no longer a cool young buck. I'm a weird old man.
Right.
Cool.
Joe, what are your thoughts? Are you prepared for the teens to
And that
come after
you've got to just know your place, and just you got to eyes on everybody that
Yeah.
because you don't
anti-TikTok force field.
Yeah, you don't want to become the meme.
No.
Yeah.
You don't want to become the teacher where they're like, yeah, that's the one you shit on. Like, you definitely don't want to become that one.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Telling you, man, it's just like, and it's that weird age where it's just like teenagers understand empathy, but for some reason they just lack that control to like trigger it when they should. It's just like, not going to use it right now. I'm just going to be that asshole still.
I've always maintained that, you know how they would have like those comedy roast battle type shows?
Yeah.
And they were just kind of like, all right, I think it should always been a comedian against a group of teenagers.
Yes.
Because the teenagers would destroy the comedian, like just annihilate them every single time. Like,
I would watch that. I would watch that.
The thing is too, the comedian would have them in the first 3 minutes, but as they start building upon it with each other, oh yeah, that comedian
just destroy them.
It's just dismantled. It's like a survive, break. Whose will break first? Oh, the comedian came out swinging. Oh no, they got into it. It's over now.
Like the second a group of teenagers would tell me a famous person I look like, I'd be devastated because it wouldn't be someone I want to look like. It would be one time someone said I look like Andy Dick. That still haunts me. Like, I'm haunted by that. I wake up in the middle of the night.
Now I'm questioning which version of Andy Dick, because I would be offended depending. Depending on which version.
Oh my gosh, there's too many. Andy
like, are we talking about like Prime MTV?
Like, just shoot me.
Yeah, I think I'm when everyone started to realize he had a drug problem. I'm one. Oh no.
Yeah, what the fuck do you think he was all wiry for? You thought he was just wiry and flippy in every single thing he was because that just was his, they cast him as a zany character? No. His typecasting was possibly cocaine or whatever uppers. Not pudding.
You're going after Andy Dick, and I don't know if this is...
First of all, I'm doing no such things. I have not said a negative word. All I've said is the personality like that. Like, he looks like the I can't remember the character, but one of the SNL sketches with Will Ferrell where he has the crazy hair and he's just fucking like, I can't remember. Anyway,
I'm texting Andy Dick right now. You didn't know I had his phone number, did you?
You can send him my number. I have questions.
He was supposed to be on next week.
Was he?
Yeah. Cool.
I'll wear a blonde wig and I'll do it with him. Let's go. I'll flip out with you, man. Let's do it.
The 3 versions of Andy Dick.
It's a dick battle. That's just the title, and that brings in the wrong crowd. They're expecting something else entirely.
It'd probably get us more followers.
Hey. I'm gonna become a TikTok star. That'll get us. I'm gonna learn from the teens.
Of TikTok.
Here we go. What if I form an alliance with my niece, and I learn how to harness the power of TikTok? Think about that.
Gotcha. It's like a family dynasty on TikTok that can't be started. You guys could be the next Pauls.
I'm going to get into a boxing match with somebody.
Ian, if you ever accept a boxing match, I will be the first to talk you out of it. I've seen you take chops from Chris Hero. You don't want to get punched in the face, close or not.
Oh, yeah.
You don't want to.
You never saw it. Did I ever tell you? Listen, we're going to talk about my professional wrestling background now. It's a former professional wrestler, Ian Douglas Terry here.
I'm responsible for 60% of it.
Yeah, absolutely. But so Anaya, aka Zach, he's a wrestler, great Anaya. There was Denim Club against the Gorillas.
Yeah,
and he's like, he comes outside and he just sees me, and I'm like, I never knew like I gotta be a heel. I would just forget, and I'm like, hey dude. He just comes at me and punches me. And so my brain just goes, it was the same thing with Chris Hero, just goes fall,
sell it,
and it's like a hard wooden stage, and I was just like, oh man, I'm never doing this again.
Yeah, it's all fun and games till it hurts. That's what stops people from trying wrestling, because when they see in their living room, like, oh, let me try this spine buster on the floor. Never again. Never again.
So Joe, I feel like we have two suggestions. You're already a great teacher. You're killing it.
Okay.
One, think about this. You need to make an entrance like a professional wrestler before every class. You need the music hits. See, that's going to get their attention. These kids, I know teens. I don't, but you got to get their attention right away. You're going to have, what would be Mr. Mick's entrance music?
Oh man. Okay.
You're going to have something good.
Like I half want it to be like super cheesy.
Buck cherry.
You want it to be where it's cheesy, but when you listen to it, you're like, no, this is fucking good. Like, they did really well with this. Yeah.
Because we're not doing Hot for Teacher. We're not doing
No, can't do that. Like legally, I shouldn't do that.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, if you thought, definitely not listening and you thought that, no.
That was a different time.
Yeah.
Definitely a different time.
I feel like you need like some, because you're a history teacher.
Right.
So you want like some like Nordic metal, like one of those like bands with lots of
you could definitely do orchestral kind of rock.
Have you heard the Mongolian band The Who?
I think I saw one of their videos.
Yeah, they're
I
like
know who you're talking about.
They're like a Mongolian metal band that uses like traditional Mongolian instruments.
I have
heavy metal.
Yeah,
it's like a lot of that like throat.
The Mongolian like throat singing. Yeah.
Okay,
the
so
tuban.
That's the music.
I think that's
like
it.
That's the music.
Because I've shown when I lecture on the Mongols, I'm like showing them clips from some movies and stuff. I'm like, but you got to check out this band too.
Yeah.
What's great about that is people who are so unsuspecting were like, what is this chanting coming from? And there's going to be one student being like, yo, is this fucking happening right now? I love this song.
There's the metalhead in the back of the room just headbanging.
Headbanging, and it's like, please.
Do you have like sick bands for every like area of history?
Like, that'd be a really cool project.
We're gonna talk about the Troubles in Ireland. Here's U2 with Sunday Bloody Sunday. Because what I had in high school is my dad. I didn't have my dad for history, just psych and soc, but I had Mr. Mueller. But him and my dad came up with this thing where they played the Billy Joel song "We Didn't Start the Fire," and we had to memorize it. And he had to memorize and then attach it to those historical moments. So they play it every single day. Now, as a teacher, was that them being good teachers, or is that them just getting out of having to do anything that day?
Was that their version of playing the movie? Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, that's hit and play.
Memorize a song. I don't know if I can hear. Here's the song sheet. Say it quietly to yourselves. Don't be
that was
too loud.
Definitely the high school reunion. We had to do it on Facebook because of COVID, but that was a thing that every single person, they're like, remember that? And it was like, yeah. So maybe you should try that with the kids. They could learn a Billy Joel song.
Maybe.
Like it's pretty much all about the late 80s. Like everything in the song would just be like, here you go. Learn this.
Oh man.
And it's fairly relevant too. I mean,
that's true. We didn't start the fire, or did we? See, that's what you could use that.
Or did we? I don't know. It's left up to history. We'll find out.
Do you ever, because I think my dad did this too, do you ever like try to tell the kids the real history? Do you try to give them like the real stuff? You have to be like, listen, this is what's in the book, but
yeah, and I think because I teach like the AP classes.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So it touches a lot of stuff that isn't in just kind of like your gen ed.
They shy more into the actual like historical accuracy and some more truth and detail of stuff. Yeah.
So I think when I get to do stuff like that they had no idea about that this happened. I mean, we were talking about the massacre in Nanking, the Marco Polo Bridge incident, and
Yeah.
They had no idea that 300,000 Chinese were slaughtered and butchered and mutilated, that none of them had ever knew that happened, because we
No
focused
idea.
so much on World War II and the Holocaust and other horrible tragedies. But here's this one thing, 300,000 people just butchered in days.
Yep.
That's wild.
And they get a lot of those just aha moments, and then you'll get 4 or 5 of them who come back the next day like, I read more about this, and like that's what I want you to do.
Yeah. Exactly what I used to do. I'd be like, no, I'm not done thinking about this. Like, I'm gonna go research some more about this, because this is some things are starting to click and make sense now. And then when they do, you're kind of like, some things in history do repeat themselves.
Yeah.
It's very, it's scary. It's scary, but it's also very kind of telling when you just look back and you're like, with the hindsight, if people were paying attention, these things we could fix now could stop this from repeating itself. However, it's just going to happen. It's just going to happen.
Joe, you're in the front lines.
Yeah.
You're fighting for the future. You're trying to get these kids to know. They got to know the real deal. They got to know that the pyramids were made by aliens. They got to know. Just start going way that way.
Yeah, of course.
They got to know about the ancient aliens.
They have to know about the Necronomicon. Come on.
That's important. That's important history.
Yeah, there are lizard people in our government right now.
There are alternate dimensions with intergalactic entities.
This is nothing but a simulation.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to watch The Matrix, but we're going to really watch it with your third eye open.
Are you giving the kids shrooms now?
Everybody drink this tea. We're gonna listen to Iron Butterfly.
Man,
hey, everybody, we have some letters to send. I need you to lick these stamps. We got to pay all these bills, so everyone lick a stamp.
Oh man,
what a cool teacher.
I
saw the devil. What a cool teacher.
Yeah, he's just so mellow, and he just vibes really well, man. His aura is just that's great.
That would definitely be my downfall, is I would so desperately want the kids to think I was cool that I would just fail miserably.
Local teacher arrested for providing kids with.
Listen,
his explanation was, this is the only true way to listen to this Pink Floyd album. That was the only explanation he gave.
No, see, I would take it even, because I'd be like, listen, mushrooms are decriminalized here, okay? So I think, therefore, it means that it's fine for me to give it to a bunch of teens and be like, take these, go home, listen to Deaf Heaven, not new Deaf Heaven, old Deaf Heaven, when they're still screaming, and just chill. Just chill.
Hey, you guys ever listen to Iron Maiden on LSD? Well, let you go do this. Oh, man.
Oh, my God.
All right, well, I'm sure it's a school night.
Wrap it up.
Yeah, you just had parent-teacher conferences. It's a school night. Don't want to take up all of your time. Let you actually get some rest to do the same thing again tomorrow.
What's something cool you're into lately? Give us something fun and cool that you're into.
Ooh, something cool I am into. I kind of got back into comics again. I've been reading a lot of comics lately, and I got into Donny Cates's run on Venom. And I got super into it. And there's some of the issues. He's tying it back to history, that the Shield had the Venom symbiote in Vietnam. And they were using it. Yeah, it's
historical Venom.
It's really cool. So I've been into that. So that's kind of what I've been reading. And that what else I read, reading Roger Bennett's autobiography. I don't know if you're familiar with Roger Bennett, who's like a soccer commentator. He has a podcast called Men in Blazers. So he's an English guy living in America, and it's just his new book is basically a love letter to the America that he came to when he was a teenager.
Nice.
Just a really good book.
That's Joe and I went to a soccer game. Did you know this?
No,
Blaxican Thunder?
I did not. When did you guys go to the soccer game? What soccer game was it?
When I was back in Omaha, we went and saw Union.
Oh
Omaha
yeah, you did tell me that. That's right. I forgot. Yeah.
And Joe's a big supporter. He knows all the dudes. Like they're there.
Nice.
Meeting the players. They're having a great time. I just like the merch. I'm a big merch hound. I love the merch.
I
think it's sick. But that was so fun.
Yeah.
The energy there at a soccer game is great.
Yeah.
Like
That's cool.
I've never really kept up with it, but I've been to some in Colorado, and it was just fun games to go to. I was like, hell yeah, this is great. The energy and everything of it. Everyone's there to have fun. Yeah.
Joe's a big Union Omaha supporter.
Yep,
so shout out Union Omaha.
Season ticket holder. You got to support the team.
There you go.
There it is.
There you go.
Can I tell you guys a cool documentary I watched?
Yeah.
What's up?
It's about ancient. No, you guys know about this QAnon thing?
Oh no.
So, and it's crazy because my parents were literally just talking about this, but it's called Under the Volcano, and it's about the island of Montserrat, and it's about a music producer. Oh God, I can't believe but he produced the Beatles, and he was like this big time producer, and he built a studio in Montserrat and to have these bands come out, and it created like all these like iconic, like the Police were out there a bunch and recorded like all these sick like 80s and lots of 70s. The Stones were out there like recording on this island of Montserrat, and it like talks to the people there and the island's history, and then like the studio's history, all these bands. And like if you know anything about Montserrat, half the island got wiped out by a volcano. Like, and that happened after the studio. So it's this very interesting, like, because my parents went there and they told me about it. They're like, yeah, we went to Montserrat. It was wonderful. Like Irish, it was originally Irish colonial, and now it's just like this great place, wonderful place. Everyone has a great time. But yeah, half of the island's just ash. Like,
really?
And yeah, and there was a famous like studio there that created like all this like wild music. So it's super interesting. Under the Volcano.
Under the Volcano.
And yeah. I'm trying to get my parents to watch it because they would lose their minds. Because
Yeah?
they'd be like, "We've been there. we partied with those guys."
That's where we were. Nice. That's fun.
Brian, you got anything?
No, man. Just working on this. Still working on just script stuff. My mind's been bouncing around a lot with ideas, so it's refining, fine tuning, adding details to a bunch of different projects, adding along.
There you go.
It's funny that we were sitting here with a history teacher because at work I've run out of podcasts with no ads, so I've just been trying to find other ones. So I've just added a bunch of different, like I have the History of Pirates podcast. I have History That Doesn't Suck podcast that I just started listening to. I have some other stuff on YouTube that I just goes through like condensed versions of history, just hitting the main points and stuff like that. So
There you go.
Like American Mexican Civil War, like just a whole bunch of different stuff like that, and then think pieces too. Feek the Signifier on YouTube. I've just been listening to a lot of think pieces and breakdown with a lot of like modern media and stuff, and then coming from like a view from another person of culture, kind of looking at this stuff, having the conversations that now can actually be had in a way where it's not so like, oh, it feels like it's attacking. It's like this is just a think thesis on what's, so that, other than that, nothing. Same old stuff.
Joe, do you have any, since you're a history expert, do you have any good history like podcasts?
Yeah.
Anything you're in that you like to recommend to the crowd?
Yeah, I love The Rest is History is one that I've been really into lately. A couple British historians, one's written a bunch of books that I've enjoyed, but they kind of break down a lot of topics. And there's another BBC one called You're Dead to Me.
Yeah, I like that already.
That it's a historian and a comedian. So the historian and the comedian interacting about this, and then they kind of quiz the comedian at the end. So it's got the good like the real stuff, great. But then it's got some great color commentary. So that one's fantastic.
Perfect. That's right up my alley. That's exactly what I'm gonna go listen to.
I love it. Well, hell yeah, Joe. Thanks for being on.
Yeah, man. Thanks for being on.
On another note, just thank you guys for doing this podcast. Just listening to it and hearing you talk about mental health and it's helped me, and just, and Ian, knowing you for so long, and knowing, where you've been, and how you're working through things. It's just been really great for me to listen to, and been an influence for me. So thank you both for doing this.
Thanks, man. That's great. I appreciate that. Thank you. I'm glad we can at least help, because you never know where you can get it. I think
we're gonna have you navigate. We're gonna have you pop in every once in a while and tell us how the kids are doing.
For sure, yeah. I've got a lot to talk about. So
we'll keep up on the youth, so we stay in touch with the culture coming behind us.
If you need to kill some time in class, just set up. Me and Xander will drop in on Zoom and talk to the kids.
That would be sick. If I need a substitute.
All day I got
it. It's just me like this being like, all right, so what's drip? Tell me right now.
That's fantastic.
Well, what do we plug, Xander?
Project-nerd.com for all your nerdly needs. Check it out for other podcasts as well as articles, articles on upcoming games, media, cosplay, all this kind of stuff. Go and check it out. Project-nerd.com. Ian's website, I think it is iandouglasterry.com.
I keep forgetting to put stuff on there.
He's swimming in an aquarium right now. Check out Crom Comedy Collective on YouTube. Yeah, check out Crom Comedy Collective on YouTube. You can also check out Blaxican Productions on YouTube. I'll be getting more stuff up there. And then I think eventually I will start a website, but let's just build up that back catalog.
We also did our first Twitch live stream last night. It was 15 minutes long.
Could you call that?
And it was just Xander swearing a lot. So.
No, you have to put it into context. We're trying to play a game, and because of the stream, the frame rate was so low, I literally had no idea what was going on. I was 7-second delayed, and then every single time, I'm just doing stuff. So he sees it perfectly, and to me, I'm glitching around in an 8-bit game.
It was the perfect live stream for us. I'll say that.
Yeah, it's true.
It summed it up perfectly. But hell yeah, thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Joe, give him a big ol' hell yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. And also suck it.
Suck it.